because Serie B is it's a wild league and a lot of things go on. So
it's a wild league. Well said. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of. We're gonna laugh a lot about our predictions.
Guaranteed to be wrong. Let's just
absolutely 100%.
Cittadella are the only team in Veneto for this season because Vicenza failed to get promoted. Venezia went up to Serie A.
I would be happy with Carrarese and Reggiana being last and second to last. We are going to be touching upon each and every one of the teams on the league, so stay with us, interact with us, and together we're going to be speaking Serie B. Roma! Welcome to another episode of Speaking Serie B. 4 rounds are left to be played, considering that the 34th round will have to be played after the 38th. Some of the games of the 34th round, they might be pushed after the playoffs or the playouts if they don't have if they're going to have teams facing each other, they don't have anything to play for, basically. But nothing is basically certain, even at this stage of the championship. The only thing is that Sassuolo is already mathematically promoted into the major league, but nothing else is certain. And to talk about this and much more is Jake Iovine, the co-host of this program. Jake Iovine of Città Calcio USA. Jake, thank you very much for being here.
Buonasera, or buon pomeriggio for you, Ilya, in Florida. I'm happy we're here. And we're going to be covering 2 rounds this time. And
indeed, we're going to be super fast.
There's going to be 2 more rounds left.
Right. It's only 1 p.m. here in Florida, 1:11, 3 ones, and we like that. That's alignment. And 7 p.m. CET in Europe. Let's start before having some fun with our impressions and predictions with a very sad news from Cittadella. So tell us what happened.
Yes, so unfortunately, one of the lead ultras for Cittadella from the Rabaltai group, Giovanni Sciudiero, also, a lifelong fan. He's been, the organizer of all the trasferte and all the things. He sadly passed away on, I think it was Thursday night on April 24th. He passed away at night. It from the looks of it, or from what people were reporting, it says he had a heart issue, whether that's a heart attack or I don't know the official
cause of the death.
The official cause, but it's probably in those realms, just what I've been reading and what I've been seeing. But it's a very sad news. I was able to meet him when I went to Cittadella. Very, very nice guy. I mean, he was one of the first persons I met when I traveled to Cittadella back in 2024. Very, very nice guy. He was very happy that I was there and following Cittadella from abroad. And to hear this news, it was shocking, And so the Rabaltai Ultras, they had a very nice tribute in Reggio Emilia for the game against Reggiana, and I'm sure they're going to be doing something else for this upcoming Thursday's game, which will be the first home game since his passing against Brescia. So it's going to be a very emotional game. But we just want to send our condolences to the entire Sciudiero family and his loved ones, because it's just very shocking and really horrible news that's going around. So apologies for starting this episode off on a very sad note, but we just want to remember him.
It was necessary. Absolutely.
It's a really sad thing right now.
Of course. And as you said, they lose a crucial part. It was a leader, a point of reference, as you mentioned. So we are
and he was only 42 years old, so very young guy, and he's a tifoso storico, like a historic fan. He's at almost every game, I think almost every game, or every game for that matter. And so yeah, it's a very sad moment for Cittadella, where now maybe the team could rally around and make the salvezza in his honor, which that's
There you
what
go.
I'm
One
hoping.
more, yeah, one more
And
reason to fight till
yeah,
the end. Let's say hi to Zorowski, who writes, "Ciao ragazzi, I'll watch you guys later. I'm still working, and
I,
we
I
are
believe
grateful. Forza Palermo."
he
Good.
commented on one of my YouTube posts, but I haven't been able to
Nice.
get back to him. I think he said like something like, "Will Cosenza get their 4 points back?" And it's looking unlikely that'll happen because the Tower Court rejected their appeal, and I think
And
there's
that was the final chance they had. Yeah.
one mother. They have another court that they could
Ah,
appeal, but it's unlikely. Let's just say, and
yeah.
just
More and more. So.
yeah, given
So
their
as of right now, only Sassuolo is being promoted, and the last most close to be another certainty could be Cosenza
and it could happen
being
this match
Cosenza
day,
relegation.
really, depending
Exactly.
on what could
Exactly.
happen.
So let's see how we did with our predictions on about round 35 and what we have to say about each game. I'm going to share the screen with you in a second. We thank Zurawski for being here with us and enriching our content with his interaction. And let's share the screen. Here you go. So the first game of the 35th match was Frosinone Spezia. Normally you do the analysis, so please go ahead, then I can say a couple of words about the game.
Oh yeah, so this was a very early game. I'm sure after we go through these games, you could talk about getting up at 6 a.m. for this game, but it ended in a 2-2 draw. We all kind of knew that the second place was kind of out of reach after the game against Mantova for Spezia, but I think this game, pretty much confirmed it. 2-2 draw against a Frosinone side who has been playing much better. They're one of the most informed teams in the end. Spezia coming back twice to get the draw there. So, Ilya, you could probably say a little more analysis in just a little bit, but continuing on with this, we both get a point, by the way, for
Yeah,
predicting.
that's good point.
Yeah,
If you want
but
me
we
to
do
briefly
not
talk
get.
about the games before we continue on, sure.
Let's
It
do it
was very
after.
fun.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
afterwards. Sure,
Let's do
sure,
it
sure.
after.
Go
Let's
ahead.
do it after.
Go ahead.
So, Caradesi Sampdoria. I did not expect. We both did not expect this. Caradesi getting a huge victory, and that pretty much all but confirms their place in Serie B next season. They're
Indeed.
currently on 41 points, if I'm not mistaken. Getting a huge win at Carrara against Sampdoria, and Sampdoria continues to struggle. Reggiana Cittadella. This was a game, huge game at the bottom of the table as well. Cittadella really, this was a game where they could not lose, and they did lose. It was a 2-1 game. After the Spezia game, I could probably analysis a little more, but we both thought it was going to be a draw. That did not happen. Reggiana getting the win, but you do get a point for predicting Pisa getting the win against Brescia. Brescia getting a goal at the end. I don't know if that made a difference or not, but it was way too little, too late. And Brescia is another team that's in a very difficult situation at the moment. And Salernitana beating Cosenza at the Arecchi. It is now 2 straight wins for them, and they're out of the relegation zone. A 3-1 win over Cosenza, who is all but in Serie C right now. That was probably their last chance to get anything from this season. Bari Modena getting a win, which we did not think was going to happen, and all of a sudden they're right in the contention to making playoffs. We did not think this was going to happen. We thought they were going to finish mid-table. However, they are right in it, and with 4 games to go, they have a real good shot of making it. Cremonese Mantova, you get a point, Elia, for predicting a Cremonese victory. Mantova took the lead a little bit, and then Cremonese rallying back to win 4-2 in the derby. So you get a point for this. We do not get a point for predicting Cesena Sassuolo. We thought Sassuolo was going to take their foot off the gas a little bit, but that was not the case. 2-0 win, and Cesena is at really big risk because they have not won a game in a while, and they might miss the playoffs after that very good start for them. Catanzaro, Palermo, I get a point for this. Palermo getting a really solid win in Catanzaro, a team that does not lose often, that loves to draw, and getting a away win, and they're in some good form, and maybe this is going to carry into the playoffs because they have Poyampalo, and
hopefully not.
yeah, and if they play Spezia, I don't know how they'll face off against them, but
definitely they're reaching the playoffs with some steam. Indeed, they're really gaining momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. Südtirol, Juve Stabia. This was a 2-0 victory. Big victory for Südtirol over a very good Juve Stabia side. We thought this was going to be a draw, but it was a Südtirol win, so 0 points for us. And the final score for this is a 3-3. I don't know if we improve our averages, but I maintain my 10-point gap at the top.
Yeah, 9 points gap. You got a 9 points gap that remains the same, and we both decrease our average because we score less than 4 points. So it is what it is. But at least I didn't continue to lose ground on you for the sake of our game. So briefly touching upon Frosinone Spezia, very exciting team, very exciting game. I had the blast, doing the live reactions, and it is a completely different draw that the one the Eagles had with Mantova in Mantova, where we almost lost. And I dare to say that should the game had some more time left on the clock, probably we could have actually ended up winning. But it was a legit draw and an exciting game. An awesome goal by Bandinelli, who scored the first game, the 1-1, and then Francesco Pio Esposito again scoring the goal that is, I believe, the 14th goal of the season for a young striker. And it was 10 years that we didn't have a player on the team that reached the 14 goals in a season. And that's about it. What happened with the Cittadella game?
Oh, well, first of all, I want to add something about that
Sure.
Frosinone game. So it was very early for you, Elia. A very early kickoff. And how there was a really good goal scored by the first Spezia goal from outside the area.
Bandinelli, indeed. I touched upon it. Yeah.
Very good.
No, it was an early morning, but I got up at 5:15, I guess, because our live started at 6:15, and then I carried on with my day. We had the post live game as well, and it was exciting. It was cool. It was
yeah.
So as you said, Cittadella was facing a game that he could not lose, but yet they did lose it. So what happened? Because the pressure was on.
Yeah, it was a game where this was a 6-pointer. Reggiana came into the game 10 games without a win, and this was really a game where really both teams couldn't afford to lose just because how heavy it was. And Cittadella started the game well. I thought the first half, I wouldn't say it was a good game, but they definitely looked much better than the game against Sampdoria, where they didn't even have a shot on target. They came close a few times. Capardossi had a chance. Alessandro Salvi had a chance. Amatucci had a chance to score. And going into the second half, you say, okay, maybe they could somehow get away, at least get out of there with the draw. And that didn't happen. Reggiana scores first, and then, same story as well as this past season, the heads drop as soon as the first goal goes in, and Reggiana confirmed the win in the 90th minute, and then at the very, very last play of the game, Pandolfi scored off a corner, but they couldn't even restart the game because the game was already over. So it's a really bad loss. Cittadella currently in 19th place on goal difference, even though we know the head-to-head is counted towards the end of the season for whatever reason. I don't know. But if it wasn't for that, I think Cittadella may be 1 or 2 positions higher. However, going into these final 4 games, I'll talk about the Brescia match. But
there are 4 teams now with 35 points: Brescia, Sampdoria, Reggiana, and Cittadella. So it's a really fight till the end.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it right now, and I'll say it a little later. This game against Brescia, if Cittadella don't win this, or at least at the very minimum get a draw, especially if they lose this, I think there's no coming back, and I think they're down to Serie C because I just don't see how you recover from three straight losses against three relegation opponents going into the next game against Frosinone, who's been playing, one of the most informed teams at the moment. Then they have to
Indeed.
play Bari, who's fighting for the playoffs. It's just, I don't see how you could recover from it from the table standpoint and from the what's you gonna call it, mentally.
Mentally, indeed.
I
Indeed.
don't know how
Yeah.
you could recover
That
from
always
it.
comes
So
first, I would say. So yeah, it's Frosinone is 10 consecutive positive result in a row. They don't lose at home since, as we said last week, because I was prepared in light of the game with Spezia. Since January, they lost, I think, with Südtirol 3-0. And then the following game, they lost with Bari. But since then, they did not lose a game. So they are really in great shape. So you got to watch out for Frosinone. Let's start with our predictions since we have to make predictions on two different rounds. And if you want to, I can start with the first game of the round 36, Juve Stabia Catanzaro.
yeah, you could start because I have to do something real quick. So just
Sure.
continue on doing it. I'm just doing it on my phone. So
Okay,
you
sure.
could just continue, and I'll jump in.
Okay, so I'll make a couple of predictions on my own and then you'll join in. Okay, as
Yeah, or
far as this
you could
game
just
goes,
yeah, we're good.
Juve Stabia lost the most recent game, as we said, and so did Catanzaro. Both teams find themselves in the first position, so they are in the playoff spot. So this is going to be an interesting game to maintain those positions and to improve the spot, which comes with privileges based on the higher ranking, the better the privileges. Currently, Juve Stabia is in fifth place with 50 points, 3 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss, while Catanzaro is in seventh place, only 2 points behind. So it's a crucial game. 48 points for Catanzaro, only 1 win in the last 5 games, 2 losses and 2 draws. So the Eagles from Calabria, they're not in that great of a shape, if I'm not mistaken. So Juve Stabia Catanzaro is going to be an interesting game. Played in Castellammare di Stabia. Let's remember that's also a synthetic field, so maybe they're going to have the home field advantage. So it's a 1 for me on this one.
Okay,
Jake, would you like
I'm
to make your
back.
prediction on this, or shall I carry on?
Yeah. So I'm back. I just wanted to
Okay,
confirm
perfect.
because I was thinking about the of the passing of our Rabotai leader. I don't. Did I say his name? Giovanni Sciudiero. That's his
No,
real
you
name. But
didn't, right? And I
but
didn't ask you. I thought I just missed it because I wanted to pull up an image, but I didn't want to ask you to repeat his
but
name in
we
case I just missed it. But I
but
remember you
he's
saying.
most commonly known. His nickname is Forci Granata. That's how he is known throughout the town. But yes, so according to reports, I'm reading a Corriere del Veneto. It says probably a causa di un infarto. Do you know what that like a
Yeah, in fact, it's a heart attack. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what the reports are saying. So yeah, it's probably due to, the heart condition. So I just wanted
Yeah,
to make that clear.
sure. Thank you. So going back to our predictions, Juve Stabia Catanzaro, I predicted a 1.
Yeah, Juve. This is a early kickoff, 3:30. Juve Stabia Catanzaro. Catanzaro's kind of got to be careful because they're still in the playoffs. I think they will make it, but it might be a little too close for comfort at the moment. They're only 4 points ahead, and they still got to play this Juve Stabia team. They still got to play Mantova and Sampdoria, who are fighting for their lives at the moment. And really, their easiest game was probably against Sassuolo because they probably have nothing to play for, and they'll have less motivation, let's say, to win that game. So Catanzaro, let's see, they've only won 1 of their last 7 league games. So this is a kind of a tricky game. I'm gonna predict an X for this. also to disagree with you, but it's an interesting because also Catanzaro draws a lot of games, so I think this
Right.
is probably the logical answer.
All right. Next one is Pisa Frosinone.
This could be the big day for Pisa because if they win this game and Spezia loses, then Pisa is officially in Serie A. Both games are going to be going on at the same time. They're playing a much informed, much improved Frosinone side. So a few weeks ago, I would have probably said this is a no brainer. Pisa is going to win. However, now like I don't know, like this is interesting. I still think Pisa is going to win. Whether they'll be clinching promotion officially, I don't know, but I think they'll just scrape by Frosinone, probably like a 1-0 win or something like that. So I'm going to say a 1.
All right. Yeah, Frosinone is probably one of the most in shape team at this point of the championship, just for you know consecutive results, because we have teams that are in good shape like Palermo, Cremonese, but I don't know if any of the other teams have the persistence that Frosinone is being showing lately. Now, I don't know if they have a shot to actually achieve a playoff position because they are all 5 points behind with 4 games left. But um, Pisa now, I think, is much more comfortable with a 9-point lead to Spezia. Pisa in second place, of course. And so maybe they're just not going to be able to beat the Lions in their Arena Garibaldi. So I'm not predicting the prediction that I am about to share because I want Pisa not to do well because they are a good team and they deserve to be where they are. But because I really gained even more respect for Frosinone after seeing the game that they just put up with Spezia. So I think it's going to be an X on this one.
Yeah, that's definitely can happen.
I don't see Pisa losing at home, especially in the great shape that they're in. But Frosinone is a legit good team that's healthy, so it's going to be
Exactly.
una gatta da pelare for Pisa. Anyhow, Spezia Salernitana. This is an interesting game for us because we've been losing ground constantly to Cremonese. We only have now a 4-point lead on Cremonese. We come from 2 consecutive draws, one in Frosinone, the previous one in Mantova. In between, we should have played at home with Cosenza. On paper, they should have been an easy 3-pointer. But so we find ourselves in more and more uncomfortable situation, given the fact that we basically, although not mathematically, but we give up on chasing down Pisa that has a 9-point lead. But now we have to solidify our position on the 3rd place. So we need to win this one. And Salernitana is not in that bad of a shape now because they come out of 2 consecutive wins. And as you said in the opening this episode, they're now out of the relegation area. So I'm not saying that they can come to Spezia relaxed by any means, but they're going to put up a fight. So it's going to be a difficult game. I think that Spezia is a better team, and probably after the draw, that as I said, it's a completely different draw than the one we had in Mantova, probably they regain some confidence. So I'm going to hope and predict a 1, but I'm not certain about this one.
Yeah, well, the thing about Salernitana, yes, they got 2 huge wins against relegation rivals in Südtirol and Cosenza at home. Those are huge. However, I'm very curious to see what they do away from home because they have the worst record away from home. Only 8 points, I think it is, that they have away from the Stadio Orecchi in Salerno. Yes, only 8 points, 1 win, 5 draws, and 10 losses on the road. So these last 2 wins, yes, they've been very important. They are against relegation rivals, so let's see what they could do away from home and against stronger team on paper, even though Spezia hasn't been the best as of late. So, I agree that this could. I'm going to also predict a 1, but it's also a kind of an uncertain one. I think it's going to be a close game and kind of like the Pisa game. I think it'll be like a 1 goal win for Spezia, so like a 1-0 game.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel. It looks like we are on the same wavelength. Cosenza Bari, you're up.
Yeah, well, after that loss in Salerno, I think it's really over for the Lupi, unfortunately. How much we sympathize with them, not only for Antonio Palopoli, but I know you like Max Salvini, their
Right.
coach. So it's an unfortunate situation for Cosenza. I haven't done the math, but I mean, if they lose, I think they are efficient. Maybe not mathematically, but it's. I mean, it already is looking very unlikely that
It
they'll.
depends on the result of the teams ahead. Like Cittadella, Reggiana, Sampdoria, and Brescia, they're the closest ones. So based on
Yeah. So
they
if
have
they
a what
lose, if they lose,
8 point lead, and it depends if they, how much these teams can extend the lead on Cosenza.
so I'm looking at it. If they lose, the most points that they could get is 36 points, and right now that is with Salernitana in 15th place. So depending on like I said, depending on other results, it could be official, or maybe they'll live just another week. But it's really regardless, I think it's very unlikely. So just given how bad the situation is and how kind of desperate Bari is right now, because they lost that crucial game against Mantova, they also haven't been in the best of form. Only one win in their last 7, so kind of like Catanzaro, kind of stumbling into the playoffs. So they really need a win, and I think they'll get it in this. It's going to be a big win for Bari, a 2 for me.
All right. So 4 rounds left to be played because we have to recoup round 34. So that leaves us 12 points up to grab. So Cosenza could reach the 39 points, 27 and 12, 39. That would bring them. First of all, it's highly unlikely that they're going to win the last 4 games in a row, given the shape they're in. Only 2 draws in the last
Yeah,
5
they've
games.
only won 6 games all season.
Yeah, there you go. So the best that they can still hope for, mathematic on their side, is probably put a team behind them and fight till the end through the playouts. But I don't see a team that is in a worse shape that Cosenza has been for most of the championship. So Bari has something to fight for because they are currently in the last available spot to reach the playoffs, and they are in that position, the 8th place with 44 points, together with Modena and Cesena. So they have a reason to do well, and the possibility definitely to win with Cosenza. To disagree with you, and just because they are playing at home, I'm going to predict next, which is absolutely useless for either of the teams. Actually, it's going to damage both of them. But maybe they are going to put up a fight. The Wolves are going to put up a fight and avoid the loss in their own field. I don't know. We'll see. Sampdoria Cremonese. Now, I really want Sampdoria to do well in this particular game because the pressure is on Spezia with Cremonese performing as they've been lately. Cremonese is currently sitting in 4th place, 56 points, 5 consecutive positive results in the last 5 games, probably even longer than that. I don't know. Jake will correct me on that. 3 wins and 2 draws. So Cremonese and Palermo probably are the 2 teams in the playoff spots in better shape, in most, although even Juve Stabia 3 wins, but we'll get to that. So Sampdoria, on the other end, is really fighting for life. 17th place, 35 points, as we said, 3 losses, 1 draw, and 1 win. It seemed like that the arrival of the new coach did well, but then they lost the following game. So Sampdoria is not doing any better. It's only unlikely that Sampdoria can win this. They're playing at home, so the best that they can do probably is avoiding the loss. They've been drawing a lot, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check. 13 draws, 13 losses and 14 draws during the season. Only 7 wins for Sampdoria. So I'm going to predict another X. You're up, Jake.
Yeah, with Sampdoria, after that loss to Catanzaro, that was a really important loss, or really heavy loss, pesantissimo,
Right.
because they have a really difficult run in of last 4 sets of games. They have Cremonese now, then they have to face Catanzaro in Catanzaro. Then let's see, I have it right here actually written down. Then they play Salernitana at home. That should have been the final day of the season, but then the rearranged games, changed it. So that's probably their best bet of getting 3 points. And then they finish the season in Castellammare against Juve Stabia. So it's getting really desperate now for Sampdoria, and the playouts is looking more and more likely. And Cremonese, in the last 10 games, they've been the second most informed team, only behind Sassuolo, with 19 points in their last 10 games. That's the second best in Serie B. So this is Cremonese finally looks like we're starting to see that consistency that we've been waiting to see
Right, that they've
all
been
season.
missing all season. Right.
Yeah. So they're really within reaching distance of Spezia, because remember they play each other on match day 37, I think it is, on
The
May
last
9th.
day of it should have been the last round of the season. So on the 38th round. So now it's going to be played before the 34th, and we're playing in
Yeah,
Spezia.
so it's right there for them. So this is I think I don't, you can never the Marassi is just always it's always a difficult team, no matter the place to play, no matter how good or bad Sampdoria is playing. I'm sure it's going to be a really packed stadium for this game. So I don't know if I could see Sampdoria winning, but I think they'll fight enough to do a draw. So it's an X for me.
All right. Next game is Palermo Südtirol. I think these are the two teams further away in our peninsula.
Oh yeah, so Palermo looks like they are finding some form. The third best team in the last 10 games with 18 points in their last 10. Südtirol, they had been hitting a little bit of a slump, but then they got that big win against Juve Stabia where they're almost to the Salvezza. However, I think they're playing in Palermo at the Stadio Renzo Barbera against the informed Palermo side. I think it will just be a little too much for them. So I think I'm going to predict 1 for this.
All right. Yeah, without further ado, I just agree with you. I think that Südtirol is a great team, especially at home. I don't know where they've been performing away stats. I don't have the stats on my hand. I mean, I don't know how accurate this assumption is, but I think Palermo is just too much of a team for them and is in too good of a shape. So probably I'm going to be wrong, but this is the easiest prediction. This is the easiest one we can predict on this round. And of course, they're going to prove us wrong. Mantova Cesena. These are two newly promoted teams, and they find themselves respectively Mantova in 14th place, 37 points, 2 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses in the last 5 games. And as you said, Cesena just dropped out of the playoffs spots in 10th place with 44 points, 3 draws and 2 losses in the last 5 games. So neither of these two teams are particularly in shape, but at least Cesena has something to fight for. And Mantova, although is currently in at least at the appearance, a comfortable situation with 12 more points up to grab, they can't relax just yet. I don't know. Probably Cesena had better performances collected throughout the season, so they're a better team. Mantova plays. I don't know. I'm gonna just predict the first 2 of these round for me, and I have no idea what's gonna be. You're up, Jake.
Mantova Cesena, no wins in their last 6, and they're playing a Mantova side who I think out of all the teams in the relegation fight, they probably play maybe the best style of football.
Yes,
you know how
absolutely.
whether it works all the time or not, that's another story. But they definitely have their identity, and they definitely have their way of playing. So I think I'm going to predict a 1 here, just because Cesena has just been in really terrible form, and Mantova, even though what did they do last week? They lost against Cremonese, so I think they've been playing better as of late. Since the international break, they got those 2 wins. They got the draw against Spezia. They lost against Cremonese, even though they took the lead in that match. So I think they'll get a win, and that'll be a huge boost for their survival chances.
All right. Next one is Modena Reggiana. You're up.
Well, Modena, we thought they were gonna finish like 10th or 11th. Well, they're right now in 9th and tied on points with Bari and Cesena for that 8th spot. So if they want to win, this is a derby, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so,
in
yes.
Reggio Emilia. So this is going to be a really exciting game to watch, I guess, for the Modena supporters. They've been playing well recently. They got wins, against Bari, Pisa, Catanzaro. Those are definitely difficult teams to play against. So, I don't know, because Reggiana coming off that win. Man, I have no idea, man. I'm gonna say an X. Also, just because Reggiana needs points, even though they got that win against Cittadella. There's still a lot of work to be done.
I was following your line of thought, and I was looking at the stats. And in the moment you said X is when I made up my mind to predict the same. So yeah, just Modena has 3 wins, 2 losses. Reggiana only 1 win, 3 losses and a draw. But I think Modena is just a much better team, at least right now, although I didn't predict Modena to do this well. And it's going to be a tough one for Reggiana. That in the next stage is going to be facing Spezia in Reggio Emilia. So it's an X for me on this one, which leads us to the next prediction, which is Cittadella Brescia. This is a fight for survival. Both teams have 35 points. They're facing each other in Cittadella. And I really hope that for the many reasons we explained also in the beginning, you guys can pull this one off. And you got a lot to fight for. So it's a 1 for me on this one. I wish you guys well. Let's see. You're up.
Yeah, well, the thing for Cittadella, this is a 5:15 kickoff, so they'll know all the results from the earlier games. So whether they'll be 3 points behind or still on level on points, 1 point behind the relegation play-out zone or for safety, they'll know. This is a game, like I said earlier, that if they lose this game, I really see no way coming back. It's just Brescia's in a difficult situation. I don't know, man. I'm for the sake of, I'm gonna say with the owl emoji, complimenti al Brescia. So I'll say it too. I'm trying to do something different here.
Right. Scaramantico. Don't jinx it. All right. Last prediction for this round. Then we really have to run through the predictions of the round 37. Sassuolo, Carrarese, you're up.
Sassuolo. So I guess Sassuolo still has something to play for because they have the
records.
The record, and then the first place. If you get first place, you get a trophy. You get to lift it up.
More money, I guess. Sure.
Carrarese has been, I guess, worse on the road than they are at home. At home, they are very good, very tough team to play. But on the road, it's a different story. So it's an easy one for me. Like I can never bet against Sassuolo in this this season. So it's a 1.
So, all right, I was waiting for that. Okay, perfect. I agree with you. I mean, as you said, it seemed like they're not removing the foot from the gas. If they keep on playing the way they've been, there is no stopping them, and I don't see Carrarese being able to do the job. So it's a 1 for me on this one as well. This concludes our predictions for round 36. Let's quickly jump through the predictions about round 37, also because we have much less ground to base our predictions upon. So I'll start with Brescia Juve Stabia, and Juve Stabia is a better team. I don't know what Brescia is going to do with Cittadella, so no matter what they have to fight for, it's a 2 for me on this one. We'll see what happens. Jake, you're up.
I don't like predicting rounds like before the.
No, me neither, because it's just throwing rocks out there.
Because it just, like, I don't know how these two teams. I mean, if Brescia get the win, then they'll be more, maybe
of course
pumped up, or if they lose, they'll be. I don't know.
We have to do it for the sake of the records of our
I know. So I'm gonna say.
I'm sorry, guys, even to the audience, that we're going to be even less accurate than we've been so far. So
I'm gonna say an X. just because I think Brescia, there's just too much on the line, and Juve Stabia, it's just I don't know how good they are on the road. We're just, like I said, throwing rocks into open space.
Yeah. Cesena Palermo, you're up.
Well, Cesena really needs to step it up if they want to make playoffs. Palermo, like we've said, are been in much better form. I'm going to predict another X for this, just because I don't know. I'm just you see, like I'm just predicting whatever at this point.
Right, exactly. So Cesena Palermo, it depends on how Cesena is going to perform the round in between, exactly as Jake said. Although as of today, I don't know how they're gonna get to round 37. Palermo is in great shape, so I'm gonna predict another 2. So it's a 2 for me on this one, and it's gonna be a good test for Cesena, see what kind of shape he's in and if they can still claim a position in the playoff spots. Salernitana Modena. Hey, we gotta see what Salernitana is able to do in Spezia, and Modena is in good shape. So I'm gonna predict an X just because I already predicted 2-2. Jake, you're up.
Oh man, like Salernitana much better at home. Modena fighting for playoffs. This is an X for me. It's a third straight X for me.
It is what it is. I remember once in a round we only had like 2 results that were an X's. So anything can happen. This is Serie B, guys. Bari Pisa, you're up.
This could be, it's poor Bari. I mean, if Spezia win, then obviously Pisa can't get promotion, but they could definitely get promotion in this game, and that would be the third time in 3 straight seasons where Bari has seen another team celebrate promotion in their own stadium. You saw Cagliari in the playoffs, then you had Parma clinch promotion last year, and then now it could be Pisa. So really tough luck for Bari. I think this is a 4th straight X for me, just because I think Bari need to get some points in Pisa. They might be good with the draw because depending on results, they only need 4 points to get promotion. So if they win the game against Frosinone, they draw this, they'll be in Serie A.
I believe in the Roosters. I believe nei Galletti, so it's a 1 for me on this one.
Ooh.
And that leads us to the next game, which is Carrarese Modena. Carrarese is very strong it can't be Modena. Carrarese Modena. Sorry, guys. Because we've already predicted earlier. What mistake did I? It's not the first time that I made this. Carrarese Modena.
It's Mantova. So Salernitana Mantova.
It was Salernitana Mantova. Sorry, guys. My fault. Sorry, Jake.
It's okay. No problem.
All right. So no, I don't like it. Okay. Salernitana Mantova.
I'll still predict
so no, at home, this becomes a 1 for me then. Are you still keeping your X?
Yes.
All right. So I'll just put the 1 and then the X for Jake, and then we'll move on for what is really going to be Carrarese Modena. Carrarese Modena, as you said, Carrarese is really strong in their home stadium. Modena is in good shape, so nothing more but an X for Modena on this one. But I think that Modena is a better team, so they can, they can avoid the loss in the Stadio di Marmi. You're up, Jake.
I'm going to break my streak. I'm going to predict a 1 here. Carrarese, for whatever reason, is just much better at home. And I think with this win, that should officially settle their place in Serie B next year. All
right. Then we have Südtirol Cosenza.
Yeah, this could, officially mathematically be the Cosenza's, officially relegated to Serie C. I think, it will happen, unfortunately, for the Wolves. Südtirol getting a victory. So it's a 1 for me. Just also because I think Südtirol they're right there.
I don't know what happened.
If they get like 2 more wins, I think they'll be okay. So this is like a must win for Südtirol, just given the opponent as well, and they're playing at home.
I don't know in what kind of shape Cosenza is going to reach the Stadio. What is it? Druso. Thank you very much. Druso in Bolzano, but it has been historically a very difficult field for anybody. So it's a 1 for me on this one as well. I agree with your prediction. And that leads us to Frosinone Cittadella. I predicted the win for Cittadella in the previous round. Frosinone is just too much, guys, especially in this. I mean, I saw a very healthy team. So it's a 1 for me on this Frosinone Cittadella one. I'm sorry, Jake.
No,
Go ahead.
it's. I was doing some calculations, and 40 points might be enough to make the playout. So with that, Cittadella needs at least 1 win, 2 draws, and they could afford 1 more loss. And I think that even though I predicted Brescia to win, I think this is the most likely case that they could lose. So just given the Frosinone form, I'm also going to say a 1 for this.
All right. Then we have Catanzaro, Sampdoria. You're up.
X for me. I think Catanzaro loves to draw at home, and Sampdoria they're fighting for anything at the moment, and if they get, I think they'll be very happy with the draw, just given the situation. Every point really counts for them at the moment.
Yeah, they just have to be able to do a little bit better than the worst teams, and this might actually happen. So, yes, X. Whatever. I'm not gonna get into it. We gotta move on. Sorry. Reggiana Spezia. This is gonna be one of these derby, although we are in 2 different regions, but we're very close. So this is gonna be an interesting game. Reggiana is really gonna fight with all their might to prevent Spezia from celebrating a position, a 3rd place. I mean, they would do their best to see us drop probably in 4th place, and they would be happier with Cremonese taking us over, I guess. I don't know. So they have a reason to play. They play at home, and it's going to be a difficult game. So in the shape Spezia is in, I would be happy with an X in Reggio Emilia to just consolidate our 3rd place. You're up.
I'm going to predict a shock result. I think this is going to be a 1 for me, just because I think this will be Spezia hasn't been the best of form lately, and Reggiana really, this would be a huge win. For whatever reason, I see a Reggiana victory, a 1.
All right. Hopefully that's not going to be the case. Cremonese Sassuolo, you're up.
Well, I haven't predicted any 2s in this, but I think Sassuolo at this point should be able to celebrate the 1st place, and Cremonese in the form they're in, I see a victory here. So I'm going to say a 1. I think this might be the first round where I haven't predicted any away wins. You're muted, by the way. Ilya, your microphone isn't.
Sorry, I was listening to an audio about the next live. Sorry.
No problem.
Very unprofessional on my end. Cremonese Sassuolo, I have no idea. Yeah, Cremonese is gonna hunt us down like a hound dog. So hopefully it's gonna be just an X. Okay, an X. I don't know.
All right.
All right. This concludes the predictions on 2 rounds, which is also already mission impossible to do it on a single round. In 2, it's really craziness. Guys, thank you very much for the time you dedicated to us even today. We'll be to our content even today. We'll be live again Monday 5th at 7 p.m. CET. And let's take a look at the comments. I see Michele Masala, who is conducting Spazio al Prossimo. I'm coming. Arrivo, Michi. Thank you very much, guys. And we'll see you next Monday, May 5th at 7 p.m. CET. And we will be speaking Serie B.
B.
Thank you all.